It's Sunday night, Kent, and you've asked me to kind of plan out a trip that we could all go on. And the first thing you'll realize as you're watching this is that I don't want to be anywhere in the United States if I were to go on a major trip that I was planning. So let's get started. As you can see here, the first thing we're going to do is get the hell out of the United States and go to Dublin. And that is where the whole trip will start, as you'll see here. And the first stop will be Dublin, of course, and I will want to go and see the Guinness storehouse where you can try Guinness. And this is also a museum of sorts where you can go and see how Guinness was made through the years. And you can also get a drink in their Gravity Lounge, and they will show you the correct way to pour a Guinness, which is always interesting. Next we have Glasgow, which is where one of my favorite bands are from, the Fratellis, and I want to go to O. Henry's Bar, which is the first place where they played, and just for my own amusement. And then we would continue through the United Kingdom and see different areas for our family, and this is where your guys' entertainment come into play. And we would see Stonehenge and different places in London, like the London Eye and Big Ben. And then I would also like to go see the Doctor Who Museum, otherwise known as the Doctor Who Experience. Next, we would go to France. And even though David McWayne says that all French people hate Americans, I still want to go because the art there is beautiful. I want to go to the Louvre and see all the beautiful paintings in there. And before I leave, I also want to leave a lock on this bench. But going back to the art here is just so beautiful. And you don't see things like this in the United States. Yeah, you see some statues in different areas, but people forget some of our major landmarks were actually made by the French, and I just want to go and visit. The last place is Ravenna, Italy, and the reason for this is because of Dante's grave. Now, it's kind of a funny story with Dante's grave, and I'm going to kind of give you a brief history of this while you're watching a video I found of a guy walking into his tomb. Dante Alighieri, like most Florentines of his time, was embroiled in the Guelph-Ghibelline conflict. After defeating the Ghibellines, the Guelphs divided into two factions, the White Guelphs and the Black Guelphs, and began fighting against each other. Dante, who belonged to the White Guelphs, who also lost the fight in 1301, was condemned to a perpetual exile in order to pay a large fine. If he returned to Florence without paying the fine, he would be burned at the stake. After 17 years of wandering, Prince Guida Novella de Polenta invited him to Ravenna in 1318, where he finished Paradiso, the last of his works of the Divine Comedy. He died at the age of 56 while returning to Ravenna from a diplomatic mission to Venice. Over time, Florence realized that his exiled citizen was the greatest Italian poet and demanded that Ravenna should return his remains. In 1519, complying with Michelangelo's request, Pope Leo X ordered to transfer Dante's remains to Florence. The coffin arrived, but it was empty. It appeared that the very clever Franciscans from Ravenna had pierced a hole in the tomb, took away the remains, and buried them secretly in a Franciscan monastery in Cenzo. When Napoleon secularized the church property in 1810, the Franciscans left the monastery and hid the coffin under the Bracciaforte portico, which is situated near Dante's tomb in Ravenna. The coffin was discovered in 1865 in the process of construction works. Meantime, in 1829, a tomb was built for Dante in Florence, which you are looking at right now, Ken, in the Basilica of Santa Croce. That tomb has been empty ever since, with Dante's body remaining in Ravenna. The dedication at the tomb in Florence says, "Honor the most exalted poet." The phrase is a quote from the fourth canto of the Inferno, depicting the meeting between Dante and his guide Virgil in Limbo. Continuation of the line says, "His spirit which had left us returns, and is poignantly absent from the empty tomb." And Kent, that is the end of my trip to the different places I would like to see in the world right now. So you didn't upload a video in time the other day too, so as your punishment, I want you to take a video of yourself receiving 10 hugs from random people around your campus.